You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. It's a new week, and man, are things getting crazy. And we're going to talk about a lot of things that are going on, including President Trump announced officially, we'll play it here in a bit, but President Trump officially announced at CPAC on Saturday night that he is indeed running for president in 2024, which is absolutely amazing. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I want to talk just here in the beginning about Truth Social. I am still on the waiting list. You're on the waiting list, Kathy.
Yeah.
And I know people that are on Truth Social, okay? And I know of people who are on Truth Social. But I don't know anyone, and I've been asking this question and have not gotten a positive response on this. I've been asking people, have they been on the waiting list and then made it to gain access to their Truth Social profile? And I have not heard a single person get back to me and say, yes, I was on the waiting list and now I have access to my profile. And, you know, what we have now, let me pull it up, because the first thing I do every morning, and then I do it about 80 times in an hour, every day. I'm nonstop now for a week checking my Truth Social. So I'm on the waiting list, and I'm not going to tell you what my screen name is until I get the final approval in case I have to change it or something. But and I know a lot of you are familiar with this. Your account has been created successfully. Thank you for joining. Due to massive demand, we have placed you on a wait list. We love you. Say that's like a Trump kind of thing. We love you. And you're not just another number to us, but your waitlist number is below. Now, this waitlist number is higher than the one they emailed me with. This is the original waitlist number.
Right.
The original waitlist number is 233,859. And I got this Monday last week, so a week ago. It'll actually be a week exactly in about 2 or 3 hours. And I got an email last Tuesday that I was a number 150,000 something, and I've not received an update since. And this is what I'll tell you guys. Be patient. Kathy will tell you, I am not a patient person.
That's true.
I am not. But with Truth Social, obviously something's going on.
Yeah, something's going on.
You got to understand something, and you guys know this. President Trump has been under constant nonstop attack since he took the first step onto the elevator. I mean, you know what I mean?
I honestly, now you have Bill Barr coming out writing a scathing book.
Yeah.
I don't think Trump can trust anybody other than his family.
No. And me. He could trust me.
Right, and you and me. But other than the people, I'm saying the people he's working with, I wouldn't be surprised if the people he worked with just set up this whole social media thing, just screwed him over. Because I don't understand why it's been a week and we're still not on there. And Cat Turd tweeted today that he's getting bored with Truth Social.
Because he's on there.
Because they're not letting anybody on. And he said nobody's there. And he tweeted that this morning. So I don't know what the hell's going on, but I would not be surprised if the people that Trump aligned himself with, once again, stabbed him in the back. Because it is that seems to be the trend with him is people come along and they act like his friend and they act like they want to help him and they're on his side. And then, truth be told, they're a bunch of Judases or Brutuses or whatever you want to say that stab him in the back. And so I don't know what's going to happen with this. I'm glad he has his own social media platform. It looks exciting, but it's not going to do me any good if I can't get on the damn thing. And it's been over a week. When I signed up for Getter, it was instant. I don't understand what the problem is here. Maybe Devin Nunes doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know. Yeah. Something's going on. I don't think it's Trump's fault, and it sure as hell isn't my fault, but something's happening behind the scenes, and I feel like he got snowed.
Well, I'm going to be very patient.
See what happens.
I'm going to be patient because eventually we're all going to be on Truth Social.
Maybe.
And Truth Social is going to change the world and change social media. But there's obviously something that is holding things up. We just got to be patient. And I'll tell you, President
That's for
Trump,
sure.
Nunes is a good guy and everything, but he's not a techie guy. He's not a tech guy. And I would imagine that President Trump, like Mike Lindell with Frank's speech, they have a very difficult time finding top-tier technical experts because
that are going to be honest with them.
Well, the problem is if you're a tech genius and you go work for Frank's speech with Mike Lindell, or you go and work for President Trump at Truth Social, you were blacklisted in the tech industry for the rest of your life. You know what it's almost like? It's almost like those Project Veritas insiders that come forward, like the producer from CNN. They come forward, they get identified, and then that's it. They're done. So because of that, it's hard for both Mike Lindell and Donald Trump to find top tech people. The holdup, we don't know what it is, and it's more than just an overwhelming number of people trying to join. There's something else going on, but I do believe it's going to get worked out because President Trump was talking about Truth Social at CPAC on Saturday night. So Trump spoke at CPAC Saturday night. I'll play this clip. I'm going to play 2 clips of President Trump from CPAC. And I know I said this after his last speech. This was like his best speech ever. And I think the reason these speeches...
You say that after every speech.
Well, because...
They're all good. He keeps topping himself, I guess.
The reason he keeps topping himself is, I think, because he's talking about what's going on in the news right now in the last 2 speeches, and there's a lot of things going on, and we're leaderless in this country with Biden.
That's right.
And he comes out there and tells it like it is, so it makes it like the most exciting thing in the world. He has an event, a rally in South Carolina a week from Saturday, which I think is March 12th.
It's so crazy. The Trump administration flew by. And the
4 years.
The Biden administration is at a snail's pace.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't believe it's been a little over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't believe how slow things are going. We have 2 more years until
3.
2.5 till there's an election.
3 years of this guy,
but a little under 3 years. But Trump's just went by so fast; it was like a blip.
And the last year was the COVID year.
I know, that was awful. But this is like you feel like you're just trudging along. Like, when is this nightmare going to end?
Because it's miserable.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's just
awful.
it's just a terrible existence in this country with Joe Biden. It really is.
You could but a lot of people support him and like him. If you go on Twitter. Maybe those are bots, though. What you tell me,
those are the bot farm. Who could like Biden?
I don't know.
Who could like Biden?
I don't know. I mean, when he comes out and talks, you can just see that he's out of it. And when he shuffles off the podium and walks away, and it takes him about 30 minutes he walks like the grumpy old man. And it takes him forever to get from the podium to the back door. He just kind of shuffles along.
Yep.
Like I don't know.
He can't walk.
He can't walk normally.
That's for sure. I saw Biden today on Twitter walking across the White House lawn to Marine One with a mask on by himself, nobody within 30 feet of the guy.
He's got a weird gait, that's for sure.
The gait that he has is weird.
Really,
and he wears these snowflake millennial skinny pants
I don't think
in his
he
suits.
Eats. He looks like he's about 100 pounds.
He probably lives off of Ensure, like all the other old people do.
Yes, that's probably what it is.
Mm-hmm. Old people love Ensure.
I guess you lose your appetite as you get older. I don't know, but he's really thin, and he looks kind of small. Not that matters, but I think his brain has shrunk too.
Yeah, shriveled. You mean
shriveled? Yeah, exactly. Maybe.
So anyway, Trump at CPAC. It was very, very exciting, and it was a great speech.
It was exciting,
and I was actually listening to the speech in the car. I had a long drive in the car, and I was listening to the Trump speech on Right Side Broadcasting on my phone on the Bluetooth in the car on the road. And let me tell you, it made a very long, boring drive, a lot of it in the dark, go by quick.
Is it better to listen or watch, do you think? Which is better for you, to listen on the radio, which is always kind of more intimate, or I kind of like his voice all around you, or sitting at home on the TV?
No, I kind of liked listening to it in the car because it was more powerful. I had it up louder. I had it in stereo.
Yeah, I would think that'd be a little more impactful.
I liked it better that way, tell you the truth. Yeah.
Well, next time he talks, you can go sit out in the driveway.
In the driveway.
Turn them on.
Go sit in the driveway. We'll go sit on the driveway and
oh my goodness,
listen on the Bluetooth. So he announced he's running. in 2024. So let me play this. It's very exciting.
They're going to find out the hard way starting on November 8th, and then again, even more so on November 2024. They will find out like never before.
Oh, boy.
We did it twice, and we'll do it again. We're going to be doing it again.
There you go.
A third time.
There you go.
2022 will be the year that millions of everyday citizens stand up to the left-wing fascists, and they'll continue, and we will all continue together to make America great again.
Yeah, so he's going to run for the third time.
Definitely.
And that is, without question, an official announcement that he's running. And
it's as official as he can get right now.
Yeah, and no, that's
no,
official.
But I mean, without coming out and directly saying I am running, that's like as close.
He
as
said
he
we're
can
doing
get.
it again. Yeah,
that's as close as he can get.
Yeah, and the thing about that is President Trump announced he's running for re-election in 2024. And his second term, being a non-consecutive term, he's going to have a complete mandate to get everything done. And the first 6 months of his second term is going to be the most eventful month in any presidential first 6 months since FDR was elected and brought in the New Deal. But there's hardly any news about it. I know Ukraine's going on, but the news media didn't really report that he announced he's running because they're using Ukraine as an excuse, but I don't think they want to deal with it.
I think they gave him so much media attention when he ran the first and second time. I mean, it was just nonstop. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to try to attempt to have like a media blackout with him.
Good luck.
But if he runs, that's impossible to do. I mean, they have to keep people informed. They have to cover it. If he's a candidate, if he's running, they can't ignore that. But I think right now, they're just going to try to ignore him. But he's the kind of guy that cannot be ignored, clearly. So, so I'm assuming, now it's 2022. I think he will announce after the election.
Oh, he already announced.
But I mean officially, like officially file the paperwork and say, I am running. I'm going to this and that. I think that, I know he announced, but I mean officially launch his campaign is what I should say. Mm-hmm. I think he'll do it right after the elections. And then things are really going to get exciting and gear up. And I really think Hillary, God help us, is going to run against him because I don't think she can let go of that delusional fantasy of hers. And if you thought things were crazy with them the first time around, it is going to be even crazier.
Yeah.
I mean, because when he was running against her, the media was kind of easy on him because when he was a nominee, I remember. Because I think she wanted him to get the nomination because she thought it would be an easy win. She probably told her friends at CNN, give him good coverage. I want him to win it because I could beat this guy with hands tied behind my back. There's no way this guy's going to win. And then once he got the nomination, that's when they really started going after him. I think they were in a state of shock, like, holy crap. So they're going to go after him again more than ever. But Hillary's got this other stuff happening, which I don't know where that's going to go with Durham. Time changes things. People have short memories a lot of times, and the media is never going to give you the full story.
Trump,
but it'll be exciting for
Trump
sure.
running for a second non-consecutive term. Let me tell you, this is what it's going to be like.
It'll be nuts.
Richard Nixon lost to John F. Kennedy in 1960.
Right.
And he was vice president then, right? He was the sitting vice president. He was Eisenhower's vice president, Richard Nixon, and he lost.
Right.
And Nixon, had a lot of negative coverage, and the sweating on the debate and everything that's like historic and everything.
The TV thing was hurt
a
lot.
And he came back in 1968 and just was a powerhouse. And the reason that he did so well in 1968, there were many, many reasons, but there's a lot of parallels to what's going on here. And before I tell you the parallels, I'm going to comment on something that I got a lot of negative feedback from people in the listening audience on Friday. Someone called me on the show and talked about history repeating itself.
Yes.
And I said history does not repeat itself. Now, I'm going to sound a little snobby here for a second. I don't Kathy mentions it, but I don't mention it too much. But I have a degree in history, and I studied history in college. I'm a big, I am an actual historian because I have a degree.
That's true.
My degree is not on the wall, even though yours is, Kathy, next to the picture of Trump. My degree is in a file in our filing cabinet. All that work, and I just have it in a file.
Well, what happened is it fell and the frame broke. We have to get it reframed.
The frame broke. It didn't damage my degree, thankfully, because it's hard. If you need
have to reframe it.
Yeah, but it's in the filing cabinet. But anyway,
Brian
all
and I
that
are
hard
both
work.
historians. We both have
history
degrees in history. I have an art history degree, so I'm an art historian, and you are a regular historian.
I am a historian.
That's true.
It's a little snobby.
He has an official piece of paper.
But I sound like what's the guy on SpongeBob? Plankton. I went to college.
Yeah, but you don't talk about it that much. You always say Trump University.
I knew a guy who used to do that. I knew a guy who used to do this all the time. Some of you remember Rick Siderman. Yeah. He was a radio talk show host. He died like 13 years ago, and he was friends with Steve Kane, and he and I had I wouldn't say a love-hate relationship.
I'd say a hate-hate.
We had we tolerated each other sometimes, but most of the time we just hated on each other.
I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but
you will.
He was not a nice person.
He was not a pleasant person.
I'll just leave it at that.
And anytime we would talk about something, he would say, I went to college. Okay. He's
the only one.
You're the one. You're the one. So, but anyway, it's significant to what I'm going to tell you about Nixon and Trump and this call I had on Thursday or Friday last week. I can't remember which day it was, about history repeating itself. Caller said history repeats itself. I said, no, it does not. And my YouTube live chat just blew up with people very upset with me about this, okay? And I asked the guy, I said, history does not repeat itself. He was talking about what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, and if we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat and all this. And I said, history does not repeat. He got upset. People get upset. I said, well, how many times did Washington cross the Delaware? And, I asked him a few questions that sound ridiculous. I was a little snarky, and people got a little annoyed at that. When I was in college studying history, all of my professors used to talk about this all the time. They say, all of them. And I'm talking about professors of different backgrounds that went to different schools, all PhDs, but all went to different universities, some Ivy League, some state universities and whatnot. And all of them always said, history does not repeat itself. People often say that, but it is a myth. And then they would get really snobby about it. They would say, history buffs will tell you that history repeats itself, but historians know that it doesn't. So there are parallels in history, and there are similarities between things that happen, but actual history does not repeat itself.
No.
And let me
history changes, people do not.
Well, let me give you an example
with this. The same corruption you're dealing with now has always been around.
There are parallels and trends and things, but
actual events, specific events, don't repeat themselves.
Yeah, so when I say history doesn't repeat itself, Trump only came down the escalator that one time for the first time. No one else will ever come down the escalator. So how does this relate to what's going on? What happened with involving Nixon and President Trump? Nixon lost in 1960. I know there were some controversies there, but he was down and out. I mean, he was a nobody for many, many years. He went off and ran for governor of California and lost.
Oh my!
And then that's when he made that speech.
He's like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, that's when Nixon made that speech. I'm not going to have Dick Nixon to kick around anymore. Then he came back in 1968 and won, and then in 1972, I think he won 49 states and 72. Yeah. The reason that Nixon came back from humiliation, not that Trump's been humiliated, but the reason Nixon came back from almost a decade of humiliation and became one of the most popular people ever to be president next to Donald Trump was because what the Democrats were doing was so bad. They got us involved in the Vietnam War, and tens of thousands of Americans were killed. It was an endless war.
It's amazing how quickly things shift.
Yeah, the war on poverty and the welfare state was set up by Lyndon Johnson, and you guys know what happened in the 1960s. I don't have to tell you.
Yeah, it was awful. But there was a big shift.
The Democrats
in the country.
That's right.
In that time, big for the negative. I think
the Democrats just were. It was a destructive time in the country, and I know. What do you mean the civil rights movement? You guys know what I'm talking. I'm talking about Vietnam. I'm talking about the war on poverty, which created more poverty. I'm talking about the bad things.
The destruction of
the black family through that and other things.
Stuff.
Obviously, I'm not talking about the end of segregation as we know it, okay? That's what they'll say.
Yeah, liberals like that.
So Nixon came back because the Democrats were it was a wreck, everything they were doing. That's what we're in now.
Yeah.
The country is a wreck like it was under Johnson after the death of President Kennedy.
Right.
And that's why in 2024, President Trump is going to come back with the largest victory that we've seen in modern times because things are so bad, not just in this country, worldwide. And, things are so bad. Gasoline in California for regular unleaded is over $6 a gallon in some areas now. And, every little price billboard for gas stations around the country is a Make America Great Again billboard. You understand what I mean? So Trump, the problem is, though, that's 3 years away almost. And this guy, Joe Biden, has been so destructive in 13 months. My goodness, what's it going to be? What's the country going to be like after 4 years?
Well, hopefully we'll overturn the House and the Senate, and that'll
slow things down.
Maybe. I don't know. They don't seem to have much input or doing anything at all at this point, but maybe because the GOP is not in power. But, when Obama was president, the conservatives had those houses and they didn't do anything.
Yeah, but this is different because President Trump in the House and the Senate is bringing in MAGA Republicans, Trumplicans, to replace these fake Republican never-Trumpers.
Let's hope so. I hope there's a huge shift in purging the government. They need to get rid of Mitch McConnell.
He's got to be retired.
Pelosi. Those two are very... They need to go.
He doesn't even look like a Kentuckian to me.
No, I don't know why people in Kentucky keep voting for this guy. He is definitely
he's a poison person.
A big rino. Definitely stands in the way. He has a lot of power.
Owned by China.
Stands in the way of a lot of things that the Republicans want to put through.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. Now listen.
That's the problem.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, there is a lot more to talk about. It's Monday. A lot of craziness is going on. And we have not even scratched the surface. My name's Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Looking for a great podcast to listen to on your drive home from work? The Blah Blah Bunker is a podcast that features interviews with regular people who have extraordinary stories to tell. Host Maher is one of them. In 25 years, he's gone from Icelandic lawyer and airline CEO to tattooed, bearded meat enthusiast with a startup in Central Europe. On the way, he's made plenty of stops and cultivated a habit of running into interesting people and asking them interesting questions. Nothing is off limits in the Blah Blah Bunker, and Maher may ask questions that most people wouldn't dare to ask. He interviews all kinds of people of diverse nationalities from all over the planet who are gambling experts, professional athletes, psychics, therapists, NASDAQ CEOs, singers, entertainers, and more. It's an eclectic show that features interesting people you will want to listen to. Check it out right now. The Blah Blah Bunker, available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. Add the Blah Blah Bunker to your playlist right now. From author Ela Tversky comes a children's book for the entire family, Help Baby Walrus, available on Amazon, World of Books, and at Walmart. Help Baby Walrus is a collection of 15 poems about toys, animals, and unusual creatures as they accompany a boy named David throughout his joyful childhood. With adorable illustrations, each poem gives a message to be kind and help your friends. If you're interested in a cute collection of poems with a nice message for your child, this is the book you've been looking for. Help Baby Walrus from author Ela Tversky. Available on Amazon, World of Books, and Walmart. Order your copy right now. Come quiet your mind, warm your heart, and lift your spirit with the book from author Gregory Drambor, The Shaman and His Daughter, available on Amazon. We all need a book that we can reach for to make us smile and cry and laugh in joy. Words that can give us hope that we can survive the hard days that will come in anyone's life. The Shaman and His Daughter will guide you to deeper levels of acceptance and letting go, no matter what's happening in your life. This must-read book takes readers inside the world of a 35-year-old veteran master shamanic healer, spiritual teacher, and his powerful apprentice daughter, 3 years after a devastating loss. Their journey will inspire and touch you in a deep part of your soul. In The Shaman and His Daughter, you will read 18 tender tales where you will learn how to trust that there is always a way out of a tragedy, out of the deepest sadness, and a way out of not understanding why life can sometimes feel so unfair. The Shaman and His Daughter from author Gregory Drambour is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to us on. And don't forget to check out my YouTube channel. Search Brian Craig or The Brian Craig Show on YouTube and subscribe to that. And my YouTube channel, I do live streams every day of the week on my YouTube channel, and I take live calls from listeners and people watching. And I got a whole new studio that our daughter set up and built for me.
And she worked on that a long time, too.
Yeah, she did a very good job on it.
5 minutes.
Yeah. And, we take live calls on YouTube as well. So Brian Craig or The Brian Craig Show on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to that. I know you'll enjoy the channel.
And we have, I'm not going to say it now, but we have an exciting announcement about the show coming up over the next week or two.
Oh, do we? Oh, okay. I don't even know what it is.
You know what it is.
Oh, I do.
We'll let you know in a week or two when it's official.
Oh, that? Well, let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, now, changes at CNN. There's been an announcement, the new chairman, and let's just go through this a little bit. His name is Chris, I guess, Licht, Licht? Light?
I don't know.
We'll know it soon enough because he's going to be all in the news. He was officially named as the next chairman of CNN, and he penned a letter offering some details about CNN's future under his leadership, which I'll get to in a second. And I'm reading this cold with you, by the way. I've not read this article, but I was watching Howard Kurtz on Fox yesterday, who does that media show on the weekend opposite Stelter.
Yeah.
And he knows this guy. And he said that he described him like this is a badge of honor. He is a founding producer of Morning Joe. Well,
that show sucks.
Well, a founding producer of Morning Joe. And
I don't like Howard Kurtz. He's a big liberal
I don't like him either.
Ass kisser.
And he's gotten really snobby.
Yeah.
He used to be all right. He's gotten really snobby.
His profile picture on his show is about 20 years old, by the way.
And it's photoshopped. It's like a 20-year-old one that they photoshopped then.
Yeah, he looks like he's 25 years old or something.
Exactly. And he's like 80.
65.
Yeah. And
it's ridiculous.
And this new CNN chairman currently is the executive producer or executive in charge of the Stephen Colbert Show.
Well, what he did, the main thing is he was the producer of the CBS morning show, and he did turn that around. The ratings were really bad, and he brought in new people, revamped the show, and made it like the Good Morning America, the Today Show, and brought it to life. And they do well now, apparently. But he did say that it's going to be more news-focused and less left-leaning. So,
well, let me read this article here.
We'll see what happens.
Because he penned a letter, and I have not read this. I'm going to read this cold, and it may be very exciting, or this may be a big nothing burger. There may be nothing here because I have not read the article, only that he had penned a letter about the future of CNN under his leadership. So I thought, let's just do it. Sometimes I like to do these things cold sometimes on the show so I can experience it with you.
Just so you're surprised.
Exactly.
Fun for all.
CNN media reporter Brian Stelter, who's the most unlikable person on television.
He's got a new guy whose butt he's going to kiss now.
Yeah. Highlighted the announcement on Sunday morning, writing Discovery CEO David Zasloff, that's the guy that is the executive that runs the whole company, announced that we plan to appoint Chris Licht as the new chairman and CEO of CNN Global. He's a veteran television producer credited with making shows like Morning Joe successful.
I don't think it's. Well, of course, it's against you on the radio. I don't.
Morning
think
Joe is not successful.
I don't think so at all.
It is not. I'm sorry.
I mean, he's obnoxious and ugly.
Yeah, at the same time. I told you he looks like Odo from Star Trek: Deep Space Nine.
He's got a big head with teeny tiny facial features.
No
he's
lips.
Really strange looking.
And he's rude. He's Tamika.
Yeah, he's very rude to his wife.
Yeah. He will leave his role as executive producer of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert in order to succeed Jeff Zucker. He'll take over CNN at a moment when the network is rising again in the ratings, driven by breaking news coverage of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. That's not because of them. I mean, that's just because there's a war going on in Europe.
The news loves wars. Their ratings go up.
So in his letter, he wrote this. Our viewers demand the truth from us. Anytime you hear someone talk about the truth, they're typically a liar.
Yeah.
Unless it's Trump's Truth Social. That's all truth.
Exactly.
You know, that's the only person I trust to use the word truth.
Right.
Is Trump.
Yeah.
Do you trust a liberal?
No.
No. To say truth?
He means his truth.
Yeah, his truth. My truth, his truth. Our viewers demand the truth from us. Well, here's the truth. CNN sucks.
That's the truth.
Everyone over there is a liberal jerk. Nobody likes them, and you have no journalist over there. He says, I want to learn the truth from you. Well, I just gave that to him. Together, this is in his letter to the staff. Together, we will double down on what's working well and quickly eliminate what's not. Oh, that would be Brian Stelter.
Yeah, he's at the top of the list.
And everything else.
Don Lemon.
Yeah.
Those two got to go.
Yeah. Axios is reporting that CNN is likely to move more towards the center and away from opinion news. CNN will dial down the primetime partisanship.
That means he's going to change some of those guys should be nervous. That means he's going to change the format of those shows.
Yeah. And double down on the network's news-gathering muscle, top sources are reporting.
Good. I hope so.
Okay, now here's his letter. Here's the letter. Oh, my God. I don't know if I read the whole thing, but
that's pretty long.
Yeah. The team at Warner Media has been kind enough to allow me to send this brief note. First, I want to say how honored and excited I am about the plan for me to join the CNN team. I've watched in awe how you're covering the still unfolding Ukraine story. He watches in awe. This is amazing what they're doing. Give me a break and awe. Under normal circumstances, I would join you in person, introduce myself. However, Discovery is not yet combined with Warner Media, and I still work for CBS. In the meantime, I plan to do a lot of listening. That means I'm watching you. You know, I am familiar with CNN as a viewer, as a journalist, as a competitor, and as the husband of a former CNN staffer. As many of you know, my wife, Jenny, they gave it to a white heterosexual guy. I'm in shock. I was expecting to say my partner or something, John.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spent more than a decade in a variety of roles at the network. Well, let me tell you, there's a lot of people at CNN that if they were not nice to Jenny are freaking out right now.
Scared, yeah.
Because Jenny is giving him a list of people to get rid of.
Absolutely. That's right. She's got her S list.
Yeah.
She's been waiting for revenge.
My commitment is to foster an environment in which everyone can do their best work and feel supported. I look forward to getting to know all of you and hearing your candid thoughts and feedback.
Well, when does he take over? Because there's definitely going to be some firings, which I'm excited about, and rehirings, new hirings.
Well, he talks about truth. Remember I told you, except for Trump with Truth Social, anyone who's using truth other than Trump with Truth Social's line. Listen to this.
When does he take over, does it say?
It doesn't give us a date. The merger isn't complete yet. I know you have a lot of questions. Perhaps the biggest one is, how will CNN change? The honest answer is, I don't know yet. Bull crap.
Yeah, right.
He knows exactly
what he doesn't know, then he shouldn't have that job.
Yeah, shouldn't know before.
I mean, I know how it should change. Just ask me. I could come in and take over, and I'll know exactly what to do already. If he doesn't know, he's lying.
Yeah, that's just a lie.
He knows exactly what he's.
That's just a complete lie.
I think he's going to have. He seems to like these panel shows. I think this is my prediction. I think he's going to do a morning show similar to like Good Morning America, to Today's Show, the CBS morning show on CNN, like a 2 or 3 hour magazine type news show. That's my guess in the mornings from like 9 to 12, where people get up, or 7 to 10, whatever, and watch it in the mornings, get ready for their day. I think that's going to be on it. I think he might bring back like a Larry King type show. I would bring that back with like Ryan Seacrest or something, like an interview show. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to bring in more entertainment is what I'm saying, because that's his background. I think he's going to be heavy on the news, but I think he's going to add in some more entertainment style shows like that.
Celebrity.
See,
that's what his contacts
That's just my guess. Exactly. That seems to be his background.
And you know what? I don't know what the connection between CBS and CNN is, but I just see a lot of guest appearances by Stephen Colbert.
Well,
who's a liberal.
He's an actor, first of all.
I thought you were going to say he was something else with it.
Well, that too. But he's I don't know about that. But this is my prediction. You guys leave in the comments what you think he's going to do. I would love to see him fire about half the people on TV there. Brian Stelter's number one. And
you know what I would do if I were him?
They got to go.
This is exactly what I would do if I was him. And it would cost a lot of money. I would hire Bill O'Reilly.
That's never going to happen.
And you don't know about that.
Never going to happen.
I would put him on either at 8 or 9 o'clock, whichever time he wanted, and just give him free reign.
All right, well, let's deal in reality.
Why wouldn't that happen?
Megyn Kelly, too. That's never
Megyn Kelly would be the other one.
Because he's not going to turn it into Fox News. He's a liberal.
I would have Megyn Kelly and Bill O'Reilly in prime time.
That's your fantasy.
You wouldn't, and you know who else I'd give a show to over there? Joe Rogan.
Okay, let's deal in reality.
Why not?
Because that's your fantasy network. I want realistic predictions, what you think will happen. And my prediction
Why wouldn't Joe Rogan do that?
Because he has a contract with Spotify.
Yeah, but he can still do TV.
No, I don't think so.
He's a TV
guy.
He's
way too controversial, and he wants to get more into news. I think he's going to do, like I said, a morning show similar to Good Morning America, like from 6 to 9 or whatever, like a magazine type show where they have segments and news and it's like, like a show you wake up to and watch. Then I think in the evening, he might do another interview show like Larry King Live. Yeah. That was a very popular show. And let me tell you, that was a show that everybody watched, the Larry King interview. That was like that was a big draw for them. Mm-hmm. I never understood why they fired him. That was a big draw for them. I thought they would remember they replaced him with Piers Morgan. That was a big disaster. Mm-hmm. So they tried to keep it going. But I think he's going to bring in more of that aspect and get away from the talking political pundits in the prime time. Because I think that's what's killing the network, is the Don Lemon, Anderson Cooper. I don't know who's on where Chris Cuomo was. But the endless 3-hour time slot, I think he sees that as wasted time, and he needs to fix that.
Well, if they went back to regular hard news, okay, but the problem with CNN, the brand CNN has been so damaged.
He's got to rebrand.
You know what it's like? CNN, I know this may seem extreme, but trying to resurrect CNN as a credible brand would be like when he gets out of jail, Jared from Subway coming back as the Subway spokesperson. There's sometimes
they're tainted.
Sometimes names and brands, because Jared from Subway is a brand too, and a creep, and he's in prison. But sometimes
screwed up that kid.
Sometimes a brand is so damaged it's beyond repair, and I really don't know if CNN as a brand can be repaired. I really don't.
He would have to do a major purge of the talent, if you can call it that, especially in prime time. And I got to tell you, if you watch it during the day, the anchors, and I'm saying this with not being biased, okay? The anchors and the people they have on during the day are the most angry, sourpussed, unlikable people. That no Kate doubt. Baldwin with the blonde hair looks like a dominatrix type. She just has. I have never seen that chick smile she's like a fembot. And then you have Alison Camerata, who to me seems like an abused, broken woman. And then you have the guy that you call Blue Steel that's always making weird faces. I don't know his name.
I don't know his name, but Blue Steel.
But their daytime lineup sucks. At least at
and
Fox.
Their nighttime lineup sucks. And you know what? Their weekend lineup sucks too. They have nothing there. Nothing.
But they don't. When you watch Fox, okay, I know a lot of you are weary of Fox, but I will say this: when you watch Fox News, they, other than Chris Wallace and Neil Cavuto, they all seem to get along and have fun. They have good banter and they laugh and smile at the camera. And it genuinely seemed like they like their job. But at CNN, they all look miserable, unhappy, angry, and because they're liberals and pissed off. And he needs to change that whole culture there. Maybe Jeff Zucker was the problem. Maybe he just had that kind of culture. But they need to bring in people, not saying happy, smiling, singing, and dancing, but at least people that are pleasant to watch and nice, somebody you'd want to invite into your home for a cup of coffee. Nobody there you'd want near your house.
Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much, as the Brian Craig Show podcast has entered its 10th year. And September 12th this year will be the official 10th anniversary of the Brian Craig Show podcast, which is amazing. And it is in large part to our Patreon supporters who have been with us, some Patreon supporters for quite some time. And I want to thank all of you. And, there's great perks to becoming a Patreon supporter, including getting commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. So the names you are about to hear are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, Dee, Pamela, Jacqueline, Rick, Rich, and Nick. Thank you so much for your support. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this episode and every episode, as well as on my website, briancraigshow.com. We'll take a quick break and be right back. There's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere.
From author J.T. Pallas comes the book Risky Business, a thriller about corporate corruption and greed. Available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. In Risky Business, meet Jason Kirby. He's just landed a dream job in the C-suite of an auto parts manufacturing company. But his by-the-book approach soon leads him to suspect that some of his esteemed colleagues are nothing more than white-collar criminals. The fate of the company and the livelihood of its employees are in his hands, and the mild-mannered accountant finds himself forced into a role he never thought he'd play. Hero. A little forensic accounting turns life-threatening as he dives into the cesspit of corporate corruption and international espionage. The conspiracy goes deeper than he ever imagined. With each new piece of the puzzle, Kirby faces a different enemy, from his co-workers to Russian oligarchs to the highest levels of the government food chain. Can he survive long enough to uncover the whole truth, or will he end up a casualty of the riskiest kind of business? Find out when you read Risky Business, a thriller about corporate corruption and greed from author J.T. Pallas. Available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. Order your copy right now. The search for the most dangerous book in the world is about to begin. From authors Wayne E. Haley and Sean P. Haley comes An Apology to Lucifer, now available for sale at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Apple Books, and on the book's official website, anapologytolucifer.com. In An Apology to Lucifer, Father Thomas Morelli thought he knew the story behind Lucifer's fall from heaven. However, upon making the acquaintance of renowned book authenticator Lorenzo Pellegrini and being invited to stay in the opulent Venice villa belonging to Pellegrini's master, Thomas discovers he has only heard part of the story. In Boston, psychoanalyst, best-selling author, and outspoken atheist David Wright has been tasked to handle the funeral arrangements of his dear friend, Albert Kennedy. What could have driven this controversial exorcist to take his own life? The answer, it seems, is contained in a book that isn't supposed to exist. Joining forces, Lorenza, David, and Thomas must race against time to prevent an ancient battle from reigniting. If you enjoyed The Da Vinci Code, you will love this book, An Apology to Lucifer. The most anticipated supernatural thriller of 2022 is now available at BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon, Apple Books, and on the book's official website, anapologytolucifer.com. Order your copy right now. Embrace your faith and tap into a boundless source of love, strength, and abundance through Christ. In the book from author Danny Davis, In Him You Are, trusting God with who you are, what you have, and how He sees you. Available on Amazon, this must-read and life-changing book artfully blends a heartfelt message of faith with poignant reflections and timeless biblical wisdom. This touching book seeks to open your mind and heart to Christ, encouraging you to embrace your faith and walk closer to God with the lessons of Scripture. In Him You Are challenges you to place your trust in Christ and experience the boundless love that propels us into a rich, fulfilling, and abundant life. The book contains thought-provoking reflections and prompts for readers to practice self-discovery, rich spiritual wisdom, and timeless biblical lessons. Also included are practical insights for living a victorious Christian life, challenges that will inspire you to confront the lies that keep you from living fully, and much, much more. This book is perfect for both devout Christians and newcomers to the faith. Are you ready to create the life that God intended for you? Take that first step right now and order your copy of In Him You Are, trusting God with who you are, what you have, and how He sees you. From author Danny Davis. Available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. I might read some comments I've gotten from some listeners.
Oh, that's always
some negative
fun.
comments I've got. I just got a new one.
That's always fun.
From somewhere else. Maybe I'll do that before the end of the show. I want to play some audio sound bites, though. Bill Maher, Bill Maher, sometimes people, you hear something he says, you like it. I've been telling you guys, he's not MAGA. Do not trust Bill Maher. And he went on a rant about MAGA people like ourselves over the weekend. And the bleeps you are about to hear, I added. He uses language that I don't use. So I did add some bleeps in here for Bill Maher. But because I know this is online, we're allowed to do that, but I choose not to put the profanities on the program here. But Bill Maher, I guess he had to prove to his liberal friends that he's still a Democrat.
I was just thinking the same thing, that this is why. I was thinking to myself, he's been saying a lot of conservative type things. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking he obviously is getting a lot of heat from his friends, so he's going on some rant so his friends will talk to him again. Yeah, but I wanted to play this one and talk about it. This is Bill Maher over the weekend.
So sure, the temptation will be to humiliate Republican voters who are now finally coming to their senses about Trump, to shame them, call them deplorable, and say, what were you thinking, you stupid I'm saying don't do that.
Okay. Now, who are these Trump supporters he's talking about that are coming to their senses about Trump? What he's implying is Trump supporters are waking up and we're no longer with Trump. Who are these people?
I don't know.
Who are these? If
nobody.
This is a fantasy. If there's anyone out there who you thought was a Trump supporter, anybody out there who's a Republican who's against Trump and before they were for him, they never were for him. They were a closeted never Trumper. Mm. Okay? I don't know anyone who's a true supporter of President Trump who doesn't support him as much today as they did every day, no matter what, through thick and thin. And there's a bunch of fake MAGA that are letting it be known that they're against Trump now. That is not real MAGA. They were fake MAGA. Okay, so he's living in a fantasy land. But I had to rewind it by accident. But let's listen to Bill Maher's ramblings.
So sure, the temptation will be to humiliate Republican voters who are now finally coming to their senses about Trump, to shame them, call them deplorable, and say, what were you thinking, you stupid I'm saying don't do that. Don't do that.
Bill Maher, the laugh came because he said the F word. Mm-hmm. Is that, now I'll ask you guys that are listening to let me know in the comments, is that really a funny joke?
No.
If he only got a laugh when he said the F word, the F word is not a punchline.
Well, I think people, when they're in a studio we saw Bill Maher's show Politically Incorrect a long time ago.
Like 25 years ago.
And
the ABC show.
Yeah, it was a long time ago because, it was right after we got married. It was like 24 years ago. We went to L.A.
We wanted to see The Price is Right, which was next door, but we couldn't get tickets to go. So we saw Bill Maher.
Yeah, so that was what we saw instead. But I think when you're in an audience, and obviously the audience is there because they like him, they're going to laugh at anything he says, because they feel they have to, I guess, because they're on TV and they have to. But they're going to, he's got an audience. It's like The View. They have an audience of their fans that are going to applaud and laugh at whatever they say, no matter how crazy it is.
When we saw Bill Maher, it was for the ABC show Politically Incorrect, which was actually politically correct. And during the commercial breaks, they had the funniest comedian I've ever seen in my life came out. And
they have comedians come out to keep you laughing.
And would tell just the funniest jokes so that when Bill Maher came out
primed.
Like this, you're laughing at the guy that you don't see on TV.
Exactly.
All right, back to this.
It's like a fluffer.
I know I made it sound good, but don't do it. Don't do that. That will drive them right back into Trump's arms. Look.
Who's no longer... I'm in Trump's arms. You're in Trump's arms?
Yeah,
We're all in Trump's arms.
I think more people are in Trump's arms than
What is
before.
he talking about? That Trump's been abandoned by his followers, his supporters?
That's what they want to believe.
This is Bill Maher's Hollywood fantasy.
Yeah. Well, he lives in that bubble.
Yeah.
All had a friend who's dated a psycho. And when they come to their senses, the last thing they want to talk about is how they dated a psycho. It took Trump voters a long time to make it all the way down the MAGA rabbit hole, to jump on them the second they poked their head out.
See, again,
this is weak. It's really weak.
This is a new narrative they're trying to craft.
Yeah.
That the Trump people have finally woken up and are no longer – Trump support is bigger than it was even before.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's that's the narrative, but they're going to be in a real shock when the elections come around in November and all of Trump's picks win, or like 90%, and he unseats all these people, and they're going to see how popular he still is. I believe he's even more popular than he was, especially.
Oh yeah,
Joe Biden is great for Trump because he's such a disaster. I believe there's a lot of people that voted for Joe Biden that will vote for Trump this time because they'll be like, boy, I made it. I mean, he's not going to talk about those
California,
people.
they're paying over $6 for a gallon of gas.
Is he mentioning the people that have Biden regret?
Exactly.
I'm sure there's millions of them.
All right, let's just finish up here with Maher.
Would ensure many more years of political winter. Instead of saying, nice work, you stupid racist kicker, maybe try, hey, how you been? Welcome back to the wonderful world of reality.
Yeah. I don't think Bill Maher believes any of that. I
think what you said is right. He's trying to.
I really think deep down, Bill Maher is much more conservative and likes Trump than you think.
Absolutely.
But he won't, if he is that, he'll be an outcast. He'll be canceled out in Hollywood.
Right.
If he shares his true feelings.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Now, over the weekend at CPAC, I wanted to play two clips. One is Sebastian Gorka, okay? Sebastian Gorka, this is very funny. Sebastian Gorka, he's just walking through the lobby of the hotel of CPAC, and people are coming up to take pictures and everything, and a reporter from Mediaite comes up to Sebastian Gorka, and Mediaite is a liberal news website. And they start to ask him some questions, and he says, I don't answer questions for fake news, and they keep asking him questions. And Gorka gets really, really rough with this fake news reporter from Mediaite. I love Sebastian Gorka. He's awesome. Isn't he awesome?
Trump needs to give him – didn't he work for Trump for a while?
He did briefly.
Then what happened?
He went private. I don't know what happened. But let's hear it. So this is Gorka. Being asked a question from a fake news reporter from Mediaite. Listen.
And also making yourself acceptable.
I don't talk to fake news, thank you.
Silent Sass in 2019.
Yes.
Watching the show ever since.
You expressed frustrations over the Biden administration's response to Ukraine. What would you hope that they would do instead?
Did you hear what I said?
Okay, I'm just asking a question.
Did you hear what I said?
Yes, I did. And
why are you asking me another question?
I was giving you a chance to respond.
I'm not interested in helping those who hate America, so you can quote me on that.
I don't hate America. You have a great day. Bye-bye.
You guys are all good.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, that's a serious reporter. And
like a Valley girl here.
I know, isn't that so? I love this.
Was that AOC?
Yeah, I love this attitude that conservatives are feeling. I'm not going to talk to the liberal fake news media.
They shouldn't.
And why should you?
No.
And I've told you guys a couple times. I have turned down interviews on more than one occasion, and it's sometimes it's not easy to do that. Because the getting the word out and getting publicity is a good thing.
Yeah.
But if someone from the fake news media is calling you to interview you, they're not calling you to make you look good. They're calling to make you look bad as a MAGA person.
Absolutely.
And it's about to. And I've turned interviews down. And after I've turned them down, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Because in the kind of business I'm in. You're kind of dreaming, oh, wow, one day people are going, when you're starting out, people are going to want to interview me. It's like a fantasy. And then it starts to happen. And we're in this fake news media era and you can't do it.
You can't trust them because they take things out of context and they twist what you say. And
that's right.
You have to be careful. I didn't know if you were, before we end, or did you want to talk about the Ukraine thing?
Yeah, I do. But I wanted to play a couple more sound bites and then we'll talk a little bit about Ukraine. And I want to maybe read a couple of comments I've gotten from people on YouTube. Now, this one was also at CPAC. This was an ongoing theme at CPAC with the fake news reporters. The Sebastian Gorka was with Mediaite, and Mike Lindell started to be questioned by the CBS fake news reporter. And the CBS guy did something that was really nasty and is very I've had this happen to me. You feel violated when this happened. He had his cell phone out and he had it up in Mike Lindell's face.
I don't like that at all.
And
to me, that's aggressive.
And Mike Lindell turned the entire crowd of CPAC in the hallway here against this reporter and started to get them to chant. Now, the audio in the beginning is not too good, but when the chant starts, you'll hear everything clear. So this is Mike Lindell, the Thomas Edison of sleep, the inventor of the My Pillow, which, by the way, you can get incredible discounts with our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at mypillow.com. Every special at mypillow.com, no matter what it says, you can take advantage of with our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. But listen to what Mike Lindell did here. Listen, this is great. He's got that's Mike Lindell's leading the whole chant. Traitor, traitor, traitor. I love it. Now, let's just talk a little bit about what's going on.
He's not wrong.
No, he's right on the money, and I that was just hilarious. And
the media are definitely not on America's side.
No. And I'll tell you, CBS, the guy had his phone up at Mike Lindell's face. Have you seen CBS run that video that he made? Because Mike Lindell owned them. They didn't use it.
No.
Because it made them look bad. They want to make him look bad, and he turned it around on them. So I just want to talk briefly about Ukraine, because we're talking about it a lot over the weekend, and we'll be talking about it throughout the week. But President Trump at CPAC during his brilliant and historic speech at CPAC, and it is historic because he announced he's running for re-election in 2024. So that makes it historic. He talked about Putin and Ukraine. So let me play this, and then we'll talk a little bit about it.
Yesterday, reporters asked me if I thought President Putin was smart. I said, of course he's smart, to which I was greeted with, oh, that's such a terrible thing to say. I'd like to tell the truth. Yes, he's smart. The NATO nations, and indeed the world, as he looks over what's happening strategically, with no repercussions or threats whatsoever, they're not so smart. They're looking the opposite of smart. If you take over Ukraine, we're going to sanction you, they say. Sanction? Well, that's a pretty weak statement. Putin is saying, oh, they're going to sanction me. They sanctioned me for the last 25 years. You mean I can take over a whole country and they're going to sanction me? You mean they're not going to blow us to pieces, at least psychologically? The problem is not that Putin is smart, which of course he's smart, but the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. Dumb. So dumb. And they so far allowed him to get away with this travesty and assault on humanity. That's what it is. This is an assault on humanity. So sad.
Okay. Now, here at the end, this is, we're talking about, this fits into Mike Lindell with CBS and Gorka with Mediaite. Fake news, you're a traitor. This clip, the news have been running for the last 2 days. Oh, President Trump says that Putin's a smart man, and they've been talking about it, and they've been even playing a little snippet. And what they've been implying with that is that President Trump approves of Putin going into Ukraine.
Right.
And none of the fake news media play the part at the end, which I'll just play again. This is the end.
And they so far allowed him to get away with this travesty and assault on humanity. That's what it is. This is an assault on humanity. So sad.
You hear that? That's President Trump Saturday night at CPAC saying the invasion of the Ukraine is a travesty, an attack on humanity. And it's sad. Now, let me tell you.
He does not agree with what Putin is doing.
No.
And there are some people that feel he is. Maybe they were going by the fake news and did not hear Trump say it for himself.
Yeah,
but
maybe. I don't know.
But you have to get from the source. And he said it's a travesty, which it is. He clearly does not agree with what Putin is doing. But of course, if Trump was president, this would not be happening.
Yeah.
We all can agree on that.
Yeah, and, President Trump made such a brilliant point, everything he said was brilliant at CPAC, but one thing he said, he went through all the presidents that we've had so far in the 21st century. And Putin made a move during GW's time. He made a move. He got Crimea under Obama, didn't do anything in his term. And here we are with Biden, and he's trying to take Ukraine. And he said, I am the only president in the 21st century that Putin didn't make a move on.
Yet they want you to think that he's the one who's making deals with Putin.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
He didn't make any gains when Trump was in office.
No.
And and I think that's that little last part there is so important. And I just read you just one comment someone sent me on YouTube a few hours ago. And the guy's name's Ken. And let me tell you, okay, people that listen to me here with Kathy on the podcast, watch me on YouTube, hear me on the radio, wherever you hear me, I am the most accessible person in media. I take live calls on the air Monday through Friday for 3 hours. I take live calls on my weekend streams on YouTube.
We have a Marco group that anybody can join where you can have more access to Brian and myself. We have a Patreon where you can have access.
That's right. And let me tell you, if you have a grievance with me, you can I'm not trying to be snarky about this. You can call me and actually talk to me about it. You don't have to just send me a message or a comment. I do read the comments, and they're certainly welcome. But you are welcome to contact me. And when I do my live streams on YouTube on the weekend, I also take live calls. I just started doing that a couple of weeks ago.
He's more accessible to the audience sometimes than he is to me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how accessible he is.
Exactly. And Kathy and I sleep together in the same bed.
True.
But this is what Ken wrote me. This was just like 3 hours ago. You talk about Putin like the left talks about Trump. Not a good look. I don't trust the media on any of this. Well, I don't trust the media, and there's all kinds of other agendas going on, but I do trust Trump. And Trump says that this is a travesty. He says that it's wrong. And I'm with Trump, okay? And Trump is not on Putin's side. Now, just because he calls the man smart doesn't mean he approves. Zuckerberg's smart.
I'm confused by what this guy said. He said that Trump said it's a travesty.
No, he didn't say that.
I'm saying okay. That. It was a little. What did he say? Because you mixed it with what you're saying, okay. So it's a little confusing.
I will just read word for word.
Just read what he said.
What Ken wrote without any commentary from me. You talk about Putin like the left talks about Trump. Not a good look. I don't trust the media on any of this.
Okay, that's his comment.
Unquote. That's Ken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, nobody trusts the media, but like I said, you go from the horse's mouth. And Trump said what Putin is doing is a travesty. And obviously you can form your own opinion on this. But it is a travesty what's happening. I don't think anybody who invades a peaceful country is a good person and who bombs innocent people, women and children, is a good person. I'm sorry. I mean, he's got like a civil war going on over there, basically, for no reason. We had a civil war in this country. And there were many reasons
not a civil
that
war,
led up to
Ukraine
in his mind it is. In his mind it's a civil war.
Yes.
He sees that they seceded from the country, and he's trying to get them back.
That's true.
So in his mind it's a civil war. He is attacking his own people. These are Russians, these people. That's their gene pool. That's where they come from, okay?
Yeah.
They were once a part of the Soviet Union, and now they broke away, and he wants them back. So he is attacking his own people. So in his mind, it is a civil war.
No, you're right.
But these people, the civil war we had was a travesty, but it happened. It had to happen because they had to end slavery. They had to stop it. And there were other things involved. And that's what led to that. I don't know how the only reason he's having this is he wants that land. That's the only reason. Well, there's no other. There's nothing bad the Ukrainians are doing that he's trying to stop.
There's other reasons, but
that's the main reason.
We're almost out of time, but I'll just say this as we close. Trump called it a travesty. I'm with Trump.
Yeah, me too.
Trump did not approve of what Putin's doing.
No.
Okay. Now I'm with Trump. Kathy's with Trump. Yeah. I would like everyone to be with Trump on everything because I think Trump is always right. I've never known him to be wrong about anything. And you will never hear me disagree with President Trump, by the way. I will never disagree nor criticize Trump. A lot of people give me grief about that.
That's true.
Not that he's done anything that I feel like I should criticize or anything I disagree with. But just coincidentally, we're of a like mind on this. He said what Putin is doing is a travesty. Saying he's smart means not. Like I said,
it doesn't mean he agrees with him.
I said, Zuckerberg's smart. He created Facebook.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that we approve of what Zuckerberg does, right? No. Well, listen, we are all out of time, but we will be back next time. My name is Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.
There's a podcast that you will want to add to your playlist, Warriors for Christ. That's the number 4. Warriors for Christ is a Christian podcast providing biblical teaching without the doctrines of man. In other words, they like to let the Bible explain itself. The format includes non-denominational readings and teachings from the Bible. They also have interviews and whatever the Lord puts on their hearts to present. Life in this world can be very stressful and filled with anxieties. Warriors for Christ will give you the biblical information you need to help deal with all life has to bring. Warriors for Christ confronts many false doctrines which are pervasive in this age and what some call the church in a box. And they also offer a full gospel ministry. Find Warriors for Christ on Podomatic, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Player FM, Stitcher, Deezer, Amazon Podcast, and Spotify. Warriors for Christ. Share the podcast on all of your social media so your friends can listen to Warriors for Christ. That's the number 4. Add it to your playlist right now.